Welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of TongFu versus LGD Gaming in the Sina Cup. We are going to jump straight into the draft, though, because we got something interesting going on here. We have both a Skywrath Mage and a Tuskar! Oh, we see it again. MMY is going to do it. We've got ourselves a Tuskar pick. So the MMY Tuskar with the Skywrath Mage support is going to be our duo support combo once again for Game 2 on the side of LGD. And TongFu probably got to be going, oh crap, we just got demolished by that support combo. This is not looking so good. They okay, so the Tuskar as a support, like, he's a really good roamer due to both Snowball and Icicle Shards both being really long range initiating abilities. Plus, going later on into the game, the Frozen Sigil. That's the name of the ability. The Frozen Sigil is a great ability.
10 seconds
for especially in the current meta where we're running a lot of mid-game oriented heroes for sure, but a lot of them are right-click oriented. They're not necessarily the most physical damage in the world, but many of them are right-click oriented. For example, the Viper, Razor, Faceless Void, hell, the Lycan to some extent. You know, all these heroes have a lot of their mid-game damage comes from their right-click power. So it's the Frozen Sigil is amazingly effective in some of these early team fights. We're going to be seeing the Batrider Viper picked up by TongFu, which is surely a great way to start out your 1-2 draft, but they're now going to grab an Earthshaker as well. And, well, I thought they did have some good heroes versus the Snowball last time, but MMY just used it too damn good.
5 seconds remaining.
As he was just unbelievable, really.
Time.
I mean, he had multiple initiations and saves with the Snowball.
TongFu's turn to pick.
I can't even count the number of times where I was like, look how much damage LGD are going to take, and all of a sudden, whoop, Snowball. And he just holds it for a couple seconds and then lets it go when need be. Now, we're going to be seeing the Brewmaster as well as the Centaur banned away by TongFu. And while the LGD gaming side go ahead and ban away the Lifestealer as well as the Slark.
5 seconds remaining.
Which isn't really what I was expecting here. I guess the Slark. I can see the Slark just because he's a really obnoxious carry right now, and they don't really, all their disables are pretty straightforward. They don't have any necessarily long-range disables to be able to catch out the Slark, so even like the Skywrath Mage Silence, most likely that the range isn't really that good, so Slark should always be able to Dark Pact his way out. And I suppose to some extent the same can apply to the Lifestealer and his Rage, but I don't know. I didn't really expect either one of those carries to be picked up here by TongFu, as they do kind of need. They may try and go for some late game. I mean, that was something that LGD doubled down on last time with their last two picks, with the Ember Spirit and then followed up by the Templar Assassin. They got themselves some really good late games. So TongFu, they kind of lost the laning phase, couldn't get a foothold into the mid game because of that laning phase, and then were obviously going to get destroyed as time went on. So this time around, TongFu may try a different tact and try and go for a nice hard carry. They've already got some good setup, though, with both the Batrider and the Viper. Warlock is going to be picked up, though, and that could be a support, or it could be a core.
TongFu's turn to
I would much rather like to see him as a support here, because if he's run as a core, we don't necessarily have any heroes that do damage by themselves. So the Batrider is able to provide these really good pickoffs and set up easy kills for your allies. But you don't necessarily have anybody on the side of TongFu that is able to do consistent damage. The Viper is, as a hero, Nahaz talked about this last night, is a hero that relies on your team to be able to provide a lot of damage as well, because the Nether Toxin obviously works a lot more effectively if the heroes are already low. So Viper, while he will be really good damage from the 15 to 25 minute mark, it's better if you have some damage outside of the Viper, some consistent damage to be able to provide. And you're certainly going to need it as you go past that 25-minute mark and Viper begins to drop off a little bit more. So I would prefer to see this as a support, just because I don't see him being able to do enough. And a Spectre, so sure enough, they do go for the hard late game carry here. Not really the greatest hero up against the Weaver, though. And what? All right, LGD, man, this is fun. So we're going to be seeing an Undying here as the last pickup in July. Immediately going to pick that one up. So it's going to be a core Undying still with the support Tuskar. Expect to see, though, another situation where they can run a aggro try on the side of LGD. And it seems like that's what TongFu's like just biggest weakness is right now, is they're just getting demolished by aggressive tri-lanes. As that was their first loss earlier on into the day with Toby casting that, and now they already lost game one essentially to an aggro try. It was more of a dual roaming support, but they spent most of their time rotating into the offlane. The Weaver sure as hell doesn't need the two supports to babysit him. He's basically 1v1 up against the Batrider, so that shouldn't be too tough of a lane for him. They'll probably try and focus on zoning out the Batrider from those early levels. But eventually, they will just go ahead and probably rotate around similar to what they did in game one. Now, a very, very aggressive ward already being laid down by our Undying.
30 seconds to battle.
Not quite the ward I was really expecting, though. I was expecting, you know, anyone, anywhere in here, possibly one of these wards that blocks out the camps. Like any of those, but because the Undying as a solo offlane is a pretty greedy pickup, generally speaking, it can be a very greedy pickup. Now, in this lane, it works beautifully. Because if you look at what TongFu have, they have two supports that are really not that strong in the laning phase. Warlock can be some decent harassment. Shadow Word has been getting a lot of buffs lately. In fact, you could see it does 165 damage at level 1. So it's actually better than Thunderstrike, which is one of the best harassing abilities in the game right now. So Warlock can provide you a lot of harassment, but there's no real kill potential between any of these heroes, and holy crap. That Soul Diffuser is awesome. Look at it. It's shiny. It's so pretty. That is awesome. Anyway, so like the Spectre here gives very, very little when it comes down to the laning phase. When it comes to kill potential. The Warlock is mainly harassment. There's no obvious amount of like burst damage or anything that's going to surprise the Undying. And then the Earthshaker, when he does eventually rotate up to the top lane, is not going to be able to add much either. They may actually keep Earthshaker here. Kablu's going to be starting this off with a early block and rotates out. Normally, I almost thought Earthshaker was going to stay here and they're going to try and make some sort of weird dual lanes work, just because if you do this block, normally you start off here. As, you know, just gets you into the lane faster. I'm not sure why he chose to do it from here. Makes no sense to me, but I'm sure he's got reasoning for it. I just can't think of it right now this early on in the morning. But as you can see, this is a dual lane. LGD are going to be the ones running the dual lane here. The Undying is just going to force that Zhao LV out. The Shadow Word is going to protect him for the time being, as he is forced to use a dagger to get past that Icicle Shards. But in July, it's going to be total in control here of this tri-lane. If they continue to group up like this decay is just going to destroy. Zhao LV already gets off another Shadow Word to help him live through this heavy amount of harassment coming out from in July. And if they get anything like a early set of boots plus Orb of Venom on this Undying, he's just going to be a beast. You can already see these decayed stacks are already keeping up, but no! Batrider dies in the bottom lane. Faith is able to chase him down apparently as he tried to use Firefly to go into the trees, but still ends up going down. Not the hero I expected to die, as this top lane is just going to be a constant battle back and forth. We are going to need to keep our eyes on it as much as possible. Our mid matchup is going to be fairly even. U9 should come away with a slight advantage up against the Invoker. especially early on, but as the levels go in, Force Spirit's going to be more and more powerful. In July, they try to go on the Warlock this time around. MMY is kind of trapped here in the side, and that early level of Desolate is actually doing a lot of work up against MMY plus the Upheaval, and they will take him down. And the aggro dual lane here of LGD gets a little bit greedy and ends up getting caught out by a Fisher block here from Kabu. So while their Batrider may have fed away First Blood, they still manages to pull something out. There's still going to be a Spectre that's going to be having some hard time picking up CS in general, though, just because of the constant harassment and damage. I mean, in July just has a huge damage boost on this Spectre, who's currently hitting for 50 damage a hit, 77 when he's got 3 decay stacks on. Still, the Undying should be able to out-CS the Spectre when he's focusing on it, but also will be able to provide a lot of harassment. And here it comes. Level 2. Concussive Shot is up. Snowball as well as Icicle Shards. This combination is such a pain. Leading with the Concussive Shot into the Snowball, and the Shards follow up, or vice versa. Either way, though, it looks like U9 may know what is up, because he's kind of been sitting a little bit back. He does have some Viper illusions that are giving him vision, which may lead him into a false sense of security. But I'm sure he's got to know. I mean, if anything, if they take anything away from Game 1, it is beware of the Skywrath Mage Tuskar combination. They are going to roam quite heavily on you. And as he moves forward to try and get that one last hit, he is going to be caught out. Icicle Shards blocks him beautifully. And now MMY holding on. It's going to go for the Snowball and take him down. Yeah, we'll be able to claim that last hit. And this Viper lane is a bit favorable. Its 1v1 matchup is a bit favorable towards the Viper, but with an early gank like that, yeah, we'll be able to make some recovery and probably be able to do fine for the rest of the laning phase, just thanks to that one rotation. Meanwhile, they can't actually kill our Undying here, as he actually chose to go for the early levels as Soul Rip. Now, I really like Soul Rip. I think it's a highly underrated ability for an Undying. Early on, I think you should actually go for a 1-1-4 build, as the just added bit of heal or extra bit of burst damage is pretty amazing. And I would almost say actually get a second level of Soul Rip if you can, going into like level 7 or level 8, just because there's a high amount of chance that when you go in like this, LPC is going to be caught out. And Tombstone plus the Concussive Shot. No Tombstone necessary, actually. Zinjalight's just going to whack him down. Starts going for Zhao LB next. The good Fisher block, though. Combo's been pretty on top
Radiant's
of those.
top tower is under attack.
Will be able to protect the Spectre for the time being. Red is going to either protect or grab this regen rune. Looks like he just wants it for himself. As Viper doesn't have a bottle and no reason to go down into that bottom lane.
Things fall.
Early Ring of Bacillus, I like the extra regen he's giving himself. Mana is so important for a Undying in the off lane, just because spamming out the decay as well as soul ripping yourself in these key situations burns through your mana pool pretty quickly. So being able to have that extra bit of regen makes a lot of sense. And of course, the armor will always help versus a Spectre. In July, he's going to throw out a decay. He should be fine here. Phase Boots on Spectre's doing quite a lot of damage here, and they may actually be able to chase him down. The heal goes out. In July, may lose his life, but he's going to turn around and get a 2-man decay, and that's going to be good enough. Zhao LB will be getting low here. Sunstrike comes in, not going to land. Where'd we go? Oh, Sunstrike went on the side there. My fault. I forgot LGD was had the Invoker and not TongFu. Either way, though, it misses, and TongFu will survive through another engagement. Right now, the Spectre is currently sitting at 21 CS. I have to say that's not bad considering the constant harassment that is coming out from this lane. And I love the early phase boots, as those were definitely necessary. Meanwhile, bottom lane, we haven't looked at this much, but Sylar is killing it in CS, sitting at 39-12 up against the Batriders 8-0. Again, not a big surprise, exactly as we were kind of foreseeing. The Skywrath Mage harasses the Batrider out. The Weaver gets a level advantage, and it's already an easy matchup for the Weaver anyway. So from there, it's just turns into Sylar kind of dominating this 1v1. You can see just how aggressive he can get now that he's got that ultimate available to him. He's almost doubling the CS of anybody else on the board right now. Another rotation. Smoke up, Faith, and MMY. I mean, what do you do about this as a Viper? If you have very static supports who don't rotate around, who aren't able to just sit here when they have to constantly sit up against the Undying, if you don't have supports who are able to do any sort of ganky of their own in the mid lane or even just sit here sometimes, then your Viper has to be so scared all the time. You could see U9 every single time he runs forward, he gets the last hit, and then hugs the side back. And he just keeps doing that over and over again because he never knows that at one point in time these supports are off map constantly. He never knows when he can go. Angelion's going to get out a Tombstone. Sunstrike is going to be able to hit LPC, and with the the shards as well as the right click, will be able to take him down. Angelion's going to try to chase down Kabu. Snowball comes in. He's going to be able to hit Kabu and take him down. Teleport back in though. Viper is going to come in, try and at least get one quick kill. But the shard, man, it's slowing him down so much. Faith is going to be hit. The corrosive skin. Oh my god, he takes out from that last tick of the corrosive skin. Siler comes in. He's going to start focusing down U9 with the swarm, helping him out. The heal is going to help keep U9 alive for the time being, but the shard is just being so goddamn annoying. They need to focus it down. They can't afford to just let that movement speed continue. Siler already popping the ultimate here, is going to dive in for LPC and should be able to get himself out with a secondary Shikuchi. And TongFu looking dazed and confused here. 8 minutes in, are just being dove by a full rotation from LGD, with pretty much everyone coming up to the top lane, excluding the Invoker. And that's simply because they can, and they're going to try so again here. As JLV, Siler just runs right through with the Shiguchi, starts focusing down. Fisher, oh, JLV is going to be kind of blocked out here. Siler, it's risky, but he may try and go for the kill here. He can turn around and get a couple right clicks. It doesn't look like JLV, though. He actually has a full wand. Is going to be able to get an extra right click, but Siler still has enough with the wand of his own. He may lose his life to this Shadow Word. It is a level 2 Shadow Word, so he will end up dying.
Caught in the mesh.
Too bad he couldn't get that regen. That might have been just enough heal to keep him alive. But either way, for the love of God, TongFu, please hit that frozen sigil, man. He's leveling it up for a reason. It was just sitting there during that whole entire chase in the top lane and just wrecked that poor Viper. 20% movement speed slow. Not to be trifled with. Tranquil boots up for the Tuskar, and is going to be adding in a secondary disable to his arsenal with Walrus Punch coming up. And just another 21 experience points. Warlock isn't that far away from his ultimate. Spectre has his ultimate ready to go, but you're expecting just continued aggression here this top lane as this Weaver. Surprised he's not going a Medallion the way he is not farming and constantly trying to fight like this. Maybe they're going to lay a little bit more priority into, I mean, I highly doubt it. It's Undying. You want to fight as much as possible. So it's like they're just completely abandoning this bottom lane for the time being. The smoke is going to be popped as the Warlock is sitting in range. And they're going to go for a straight up dive. Wow, LPC's like, what the hell? They just took down the trees and just ran at me, guys. What the hell do I do? JLV's going to try and get himself into the trees as much as possible, but there's only so far he can go. And still, the sigil will reveal him as Siler gets that last right click in. Spectre threw an ultimate during the last moments of his life, but will end up dying, and now they're going to go in for another dive. They know there's only 2 heroes here, so why the hell not? Kabu is going to be caught out by the high school shards. Attempt to teleport away is going to be very, very optimistic and met with a rather abrupt slapping from LGD. But seriously, his poor Warlock is sitting in like one of the safest areas his support can do. And Undying's just like, I'm just going to go ahead and tombstone down all of these trees, and there goes your cover. That was some pretty good awareness from LGD as well. I mean, just the smoke popping, they knew there was there had to be a hero sitting right here, just due to where the smoke popped. And off of it, they're able to get a pretty easy dive. Top 2 CS on the board, both the Weaver as well as the Invoker, and to nobody's surprise, they're also the top 2 net worth on the board, with the Undying taking up 3rd, thanks to all the kills he's been a part of so far. 2, 0, and 6 is yet to die, and Angelion's now has a straight up back. So he has become very difficult to kill, and thanks to the fact that Faith has a very early set of arcane boots and is also going to be going in Urn as well, in July no longer has to worry so much about mana. Another tombstone goes down, silence onto red, and the slow with a concussive shot as well as the zombies. They'll take him down. The pursuit onto MMY, U9 trying to catch up. Kabu's going to try and block him up as much as possible, but this is not a wise choice. He can always snowball. That's exactly what he's going to do here. Kabu is getting low. The Skywrath Mage. Snowball will be able to finish him off. There goes the Golem drop being dropped, though, on LGD's head. LPC is going to be taking a Sunstrike to the face. Icicle Shard slowing it down. MMY still going to be taking out the Upheaval, making short work of in July as the Golem just beats him down. Looks like JLV is actually trapped right now. U9 is going to be chased down by Sylar. He gets close enough. Meanwhile, our Spectre comes in with an ultimate. Warlock barely able to get himself away. Faith, meanwhile, will be chased down by JLV, and he gets the 1 kill, but he still needs a little something extra. Sylar is going to join forces with him. Actually gets lassoed up as they run right into the counter ward, and TongFu somehow managed to pull out these clutch team fights. Sunstrike. Zhao LV drops down to 57 health, but he'll be fine from there. Only person who didn't die was, of course, our Invoker, wasn't even in the fight. But TongFu managed to walk away from a pretty good engagement. Similar to Game 1, though, LGD are taking the better of a lot of these engagements in the early laning phase. Certainly went their way. And they can afford to lose a couple of team fights like this. Kabu's going to be caught out here. Icicle Shards into the Snowball, and oh my god. The Orbital Ion Strike Cannon just drops from the heavens there with both Mystic Flare and Sunstrike. That is a cruel combination. And this is something LGD did last time too. They have such an aggressive lineup. I mean, think about how just very similar the lineup is to last game, where they have themselves a lot of late game viability. They run the same support combination. They have a different offlaner this time around, but the Undying is just as aggressive, if not more aggressive than the Centaur is, and can benefit from that snowball actually quite a bit. Because what do? I mean, if you end up getting hit by the Icicle Shards and snowball that, and then he throws down a Tombstone as well, you're kind of stuck in that area for a while. Icicle Shard's going to miss. LPC. Lasso's going to come on to Sylar. Not going to be able to do much. Oh, Walrus Punch from afar. As MMY just rolls down the cliff, takes out one of the supports. Secondary one also going to fall as our Bat Rider. Taken out. U9, meanwhile, tries to come in to help the rest of his team, but is way too late to the party as LGD are a solid 5-man group and are going to go for this tier 2 after wiping out 4 heroes to the side of TongFu and losing nobody in exchange. Nobody even getting close to dying. Spectre pops the ultimate. I have no idea why he would do that or why he would think it would be a great idea to actually jump in. I'm at a loss for words. I literally think he's throwing. I actually think that's a thing. he just ulted. His team got wiped. He was the only one left alive, essentially. Like, there were some heroes reviving, but they were still in the fountain. And he goes, I'm going to go ahead and drop my ultimate, which is a, casual 120-second cooldown. And then not even just dropping the ultimate. Like, that was mistake number 1. That was screw up. That was a bad screw up, but whatever. Maybe he accidentally hit the R button. Then actually having to click a secondary button and go, yes, I will jump into that 5-man crew that I see taking down my tier 2 by myself. That sounds like a great idea. That's just you throwing at that point. Necrobook 2 finished up by Yao, and he's going to go ahead and join the rest of his team at the top lane where they're going to take down these tier 2s. And there's nothing really to stop him with a Vitality boost up on in July and a mech. He's kind of unkillable. Sylar almost has a full up Lincoln's. MMY already has his Blink Dagger that we talked about so much in Game 1. And with the Mass Forge Spirits and Necrobooks, They've got so many units on the field
Dire's
that it's
top
rather
tower
easy
is
for them
under
to take
attack.
down these towers. And the rotation from TongFu, they might as well not even go to the top lane. By the
Dire's
time they get there,
structures
it's
are
too late.
fortified.
And I don't think they can take the
Dire's
fight
top
anymore.
tower is under attack.
As
Radiant's
they start
middle
coming in
tower
already, the
is
Spectre
under
ultimate is going to be dropped as well as the Golems. Not able to do so much from far. Snowball's going to be able to hit Kabu, but clean him up on the right side. Meanwhile, U9 is trying to focus down the zombie. Angelai is so tanky though, with that Vitality booster, plus the shards slowing him down. He can't actually, he's now going to focus on the shards, but he's just going to get right-clicked down before he can even kill that much. The Golem also being slowed. It can't even finish off the Tombstone, and TongFu just throw their hands up in the air. They're just like, we just got screwed up so badly.
LGD Gaming victory.
Wow. Well, if anybody was kind of thinking, I wonder if TongFu is on an even skill level as LGD. No, not even close. Not even close, man. 2 games completely one-sided in the favor of LGD. TongFu certainly have a lot more to work through. Of course, they have a lot more amateur players, so it shouldn't really be that surprising. LGD, with a lineup like this, they've got a pretty damn solid one, and I love their drafting, man. Looking forward to seeing more of it in the future as this best of 3 comes to a close. Next up in the Sina Cup, though, is going to be a IG versus DG. That's going to be our next game, our next best of 3. So that is actually going to be happening in 3 hours' time. If you guys want to go check out Join Dota Red, of course, Toby is going to be casting over there. He has the ESL 1 group stages. He is currently waiting on this match. You guys can go ahead and follow LGD as that's what Toby's waiting on right now. So if you guys want to go over there, check it out. We're going to be throwing up a static screen. No, actually, we're going to be dropping the live stream because we're going to be all on Join Dota Red with Toby and I up until he goes to cast the Dota 2 Champions League when we get later on into the afternoon. So thanks for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you guys on Join Dota Red. I think I'm going to try and join Toby. So